This is Justicedonedirtcheap. It's April 20, 2012. We're in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and we're here interviewing people regarding their views. Would you like to be interviewed, sir?
Sure.
What is your name?
John Muse.
John Muse. What is your views on the City of Fredericton bylaws regarding riding on the sidewalk with a bicycle?
My views on that. Well, I guess it's like my views on anything else. I mean, I don't know if it was Gandhi who once said that if, the laws don't serve any purpose if they don't serve to facilitate a civil society, I guess.
Yes.
I'm more interested in living in a civil community, I guess, rather than a legal community. So I like, as libertarian as it might sound, I like the element of discretion. I mean, there have been situations that I've been in. Most of the time, it's a long answer to a short question, but if I go on the sidewalk when I'm not supposed to, largely, and believe it or not, it's for the benefit of the cars.
Yes.
I'm not trying to get people in accidents. So if I'm on a bicycle, and especially if it's in the winter time or something like that, inclement conditions, the sidewalk is clear, no one is there.
Yes.
Okay? If there's no one on the sidewalk, and it's going to give cars less trouble for me to be on the sidewalk, it seems self-evident.
Yes.
To do that. But I've been in situations, I don't know if you'd like me to tell you one, but
I would.
Last year I teach up at STU,
Oh,
so
do you?
I go up there pretty much every day on the bicycle, and last year, not this year, but last year, I was going up twice a day some days. So the second time I was going up, I ran into a young fellow who wanted to pedal alongside with me.
That was 2011?
Yeah, so
okay.
We're pedaling up, York Street there,
yes,
in the bike lane, and he wants to start pedaling beside me, and I say, man, we can't do this, because we're going to get a car in an accident.
Yes.
So I go on the sidewalk.
Yes.
And he stays, and then he comes on the sidewalk, and I figure, that's okay, we don't want to get cars in accidents, there's no pedestrians.
Yes.
So we're going up the sidewalk, it's like a wasteland.
Yes.
We get up toward, King's College there, and a pedestrian starts coming down, so I go on the grass on one side.
Yes.
It's like, this guy's like Moses parting the Red Sea.
Yes.
We figure this is lovely, we wanted to let him know that he had the right to be on the sidewalk, and that legally we didn't.
Showing him respect.
Yes.
Giving him plenty of room.
As I moved to one side, and this other young person moved to the other side, the person on the sidewalk has been the case for the large part, since these laws have been emphasized, he took the liberty of making an issue out of it anyway. He said, you there, you there. He didn't see a miracle of athletic gymnastics or civility.
Yes.
He saw something offensive.
Yes.
He saw something that was dangerous to him, even though it wasn't.
It was actually in courtesy that you're moving from one side to the other.
I guess your question, how do I feel about the laws? Nobody can see our insides, although people feel that they see our insides. They say, much of the time what I'm doing is to try to kind of think of the other.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, it comes down to, I guess, empathy, something.
Respect. We respect other people, and the thing is that if we are respecting others and giving them their fair use of the space,
yes,
then what's the problem with us being on the sidewalk?
Yes.
If someone is acting recklessly or endangering people,
yes,
that's the problem. It's the reckless actions, not the fact that a bicycle is on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it creates a really kind of ham-fisted bigotry. Instead of looking for people who are pointing out or being concerned about people who aren't courteous, who aren't respectful, it becomes kind of an easy way of slotting people. He's a smoker. She has diabetes. He's obese. He's on the sidewalk. This person, whatever kind of thing. It's kind of the old-fashioned way of saying he's black, he's white. I mean, I don't like to reduce it to these terms, but rather than getting to know each other, it becomes, again, a very easy way of turning each other into these kind of really kind of ugly abstractions.
Yes.
You're simply breaking the law, you must be bad.
Yes.
You're driving on the road without a helmet, you're taking money out of my pocket.
We get reduced to stereotypes.
That's the problem. So what it actually facilitates, I mean, in my experience, especially since this bike helmet laws came into existence, people who knew me before this suddenly know me in a different way now. It erodes civility, and it makes people think about what I'm taking away from them. It doesn't, I'm not particularly religious or even remotely Christian, but as Jesus says, before you take the speck out of your brother's eye, you take the beam out of your own eye. I've had people pass me by, smoking, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to come up to you and say, hey, you should lose a few pounds because you're taking money. I mean, it's rude.
Yes.
It's bad manners.
Yes.
Because you have more to offer than the fact that you might be 10 pounds overweight,
Yes.
or the fact that I'm on a bicycle.
Yes.
Geez, I'm not in a car. The car is probably one of the most dangerous places on the planet to be. I mean, we don't think about that. So there's a lot of hypocrisy, there's a lot of bigotry, and there's a lot of kind of easy way of as I say, turning people into these abstractions that we can kind of judge without any discretion.
What's interesting as well is it's actually a lot safer for a cyclist to be on the sidewalk than on the roadway, because let's face it, there's a lot of dangerous drivers out there. Drivers that drive badly, and if they hit someone on a bicycle, it's deadly.
Yes, that's true. That's one of the reasons. It's hard to explain to somebody, you know, I'm on a sidewalk because, you know, a lot of people are texting, a lot of people are cell phoning. There's a lot of issues out there. I drive a bicycle 365 days a year, every day, so I kind of know it's about navigating. You don't go out there with the same kind of, this is what's going to happen, I'm going to get on my bike, I'm going to get in the bike lane, nothing's going to happen. No, you have to look at what's going on. So it also ignores consciousness of your immediate surroundings.
Yes.
It's just a basic, you know, a tunnel vision view. This is this way. If I do this, I will be safe.
Yes.
I have a right. So, you know, you could get nailed by a car in spite of the fact that you're on in the bike lane with a helmet on, if you're not conscious of the fact that people are texting, cell phoning. You go up on the sidewalk. I mean, especially if there are not pedestrians there. If there are, 100,000 times out of 100,000 times, make eye contact with them.
Yes.
I mean, that's the thing.
So it seems to come down to, as long as we respect each other's space, there's no problem with us sharing the sidewalks. And the thing is, for people walking and people on bicycles, they're a lot closer in size than a car, which is a big metal beast.
Exactly.
That the consequences are much more spectacular if someone in a car runs over a bicyclist, and we pay the consequences. So it's actually a lot safer for bicyclists to be on the sidewalk and to respect pedestrians' space.
Yes, and you spoke with, I drove a car my whole life. I was addicted to an auto. Nobody was more proud of his candy apple red 77 Nova. I started driving a bicycle, started in 2000 or so. It was the first year I did it.
Yes.
One of the reasons I did it was that, like anybody else, I have a kind of a pathological, you know, I want, and this has to do with abstractions. One of the easiest ways of dealing with people is to reduce them to abstractions, to put a distance, to put a wall between yourself. If you drive by in a car, you can fly, excuse my language, fly the fuck by someone and go, screw you. On a bicycle, you can't do that.
Yes.
It takes away that power, like you say.
Yes.
And there's a kind of a vulnerability and a humility in it that it allows you to get to know your community.
Yes.
Which is very problematic if you're in a community and you're on a bicycle in a local environment and people are hollering and pointing fingers at you and saying, Jew, you know, whatever. I'm not drawing terrible analogies, but it's kind of like that. And you say, gee, I'm just in my community on a bicycle. I don't want to put doors between me and you. I don't want to put speed between me and you. I don't want to put danger and power between me and you. I want to be, you know, and I don't want to kind of cover up my head to give the impression that I'm like in an automobile. I want to be out there with you so that people know that we can kind of shake hands, say hello to each other, open ourselves up. That's not danger.
There's a lot more connection there between individuals.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of why we did it. I mean, I think it would have always been, I mean, money does this for us. Sometimes technology does this for us. I wanted to kind of, in my own way, to break down some of those walls. I never thought, I mean, that was before, really, I think I was aware of it, that it was a law here. I never thought that I'd be persecuted for being on a bicycle, driving up and down the streets of Fredericton on the sidewalk, saying hello or I'm sorry to pedestrians, or being on this bicycle with my son in a bike car.
Yes.
And having a police officer, you know, chastise me for half an hour because I was driving, I bet, a mile an hour with this guy behind me in the car. He was a year old at the time, and I was trying to get him to sleep.
Yes.
This cop took me in the parking lot of the old, you know, liquor store there and gave me the whole lecture, and I said, like, you know, St. Paul talks about the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. I understand. But there's a capacity to use discretion. This is a father and a son on a summer day. We're going not 2 miles an hour. I'm trying to get my son to sleep. And you're making it seem like it's an extraordinary thing. I said, you know, I'm a conscientious objector. You had the unenviable job of giving me the ticket, but it's because of these encounters that I have to disagree with it.
Yes.
Because if you're going to be persecuting a person, no saint, but for this and making it sound, I can't agree with the law.
Yes.
So I'll pay the ticket, but I feel that people need some solidarity, because I have the luxury of being a professor, remotely middle class. After this guy found this out, this police officer, he kind of said, well, I thought you were maybe a punk or something. And I'm thinking, well, Jesus, what if I was really a punk with a mohawk? I mean, what are you going to do, work me over with your billy bat? I mean, it really...
What do you teach?
I teach English.
Yes.
Up at St. Thomas, and this is, I mean, our literature teaches us this. The more something becomes an anomaly, the more something becomes dangerous and becomes, or perceived as dangerous or criminal or insane. So I'm thinking, I'm not saying everybody who drives a bicycle without a helmet is a saint, but we need some solidarity to understand that there are good people who smoke cigarettes, who have diabetes, who have the capacity to be courteous and respectful, and not to put everybody in that category. That's a very dangerous and a very easy way of letting us off of our own hooks.
Yes.
Of our own transgressions. I mean, what have I done today? What sorts of behaviors? What's in my refrigerator? What are the ingredients in my hot dog? All of that stuff is kind of let go because you can point a finger easily at somebody else who's in the larger scheme of things. I mean, doing something that's not even negligible in terms of many other things. And as I say, I've tried to talk. I've almost gotten in fist fights with, and I'm not. Funny, I shouldn't even say that. I'm not an aggressive person, although I'm sounding aggressive, because I've passed by people. I've had people holler, scream at me, telling me that I'm an irresponsible parent, all kinds of crazy things, and I'm thinking, these people would have to revise their own lives, their own histories. I mean, what do they do, as I say, when they watch E.T.? Do they get the children out of the room? Do they run screaming? I'm not saying things didn't happen, but people were not dying by the bucket loads. It wasn't like, oh my God, we had people dying in the streets. So every kid in E.T. who rode a bicycle ended up on health, on life support, and we're still paying for it. It's a lie. It just didn't happen. I mean, that reflects a really kind of sad and unfortunate lack of discretion and really kind of honesty.
Yes.
So
what's interesting is you wonder, why did the city of Breton enact the bylaw regarding bicycles on the sidewalk? If one would think that, well, is it in the public good? Did they do it in the public's interest? Well, what's interesting is that the people who are victimized are the bicyclists who have to pay a fine.
Yes.
For riding on the sidewalk. And what's interesting is the police have the discretion whether to enforce that bylaw or not.
Yes.
And they tend to target certain individuals.
I've been fined, I think, 4 times, and 3 of those were with my son, so I couldn't really run. Yeah.
Yes. And unfortunately, they stereotype and they think the worst when they come after you.
Right.
They see there's a guy on the sidewalk, and they use it as a reason to arrest someone, rather than, if they were actually interested in the public good, they would pull up beside you and say, hey, how about riding on the shoulder, and I'll explain the benefits of it.
Yes.
And if it was such a good idea, you think that people would just do it.
Yes. I mean, at least facilitate conversation. I think, I mean, what you were saying before, I mean, maybe before, earlier when we were talking, I mean, there are people who drive on the sidewalks. I've seen them. You know what I mean? And they're not the nicest people.
Yes.
And people have had negative experiences with these people. And they, God darn it, God damn it, they want something done about this.
Yes.
So they, police officers are often put in a situation where I feel like sometimes that person doesn't really want to give me the fine.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes. Because that person is speaking for a constituency who kind of says, look, these people have had this negative experience with people on a bicycle. It's not you in particular, but it's a generalization that people make about people on sidewalks, and I have to enforce a law based, and it isn't in the public good in the long run. It's kind of like a buckshot approach to things. I just saw a former student of mine down the coffee shop. She came along. She one of the things that I noticed about her was that she was very pregnant. She's 9 months pregnant. She's gonna have a baby like in 10 days, and she was kind of walking along with her bicycle. I said, wow, that's impressive. My wife drove a bicycle up till the day before he was born.
Yes.
and she proceeded to tell me she had just had a run-in with a police officer. Now, what had
Oh,
happened
no.
was that the police officer, now this is hearsay, but I can tell you, she said she was very chipper about it because she's only begun to ride a bicycle, so she hasn't had many of these experiences.
Yes.
And I didn't want to sound cynical. I said, oh my God, you better prepare yourself, because I guess she was on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Because she's pregnant.
Yes.
So some people say, well, you shouldn't be on a bicycle if you're pregnant. And, you know, on the other hand, I don't like to say, I mean, I'm not trying to be romantic or something like that. There's something noble about a person who's still capable of riding a bicycle while she's 9 months pregnant.
Yes.
I don't think the police officer would have bothered her. But apparently the police officer was talking to a pedestrian. The pedestrian was exactly, as they say, relaying an experience.
Yes.
I was on the sidewalk yesterday and this punk skateboarder came flying by and brushed against me and didn't... And as he was saying this, she went by.
Yes.
And I guess the pedestrian said, see, there goes one. The police officer felt obliged to sort of chase her down. When he did, I think he felt foolish because he told her that it was illegal to ride a bicycle on the sidewalk. And she said, well, actually, I usually ride it on the road, but I'm pregnant.
Yes.
So he was in a really tough spot. And rather than, I think, being as gentlemanly about it as he could, he said, madam, you're going to have to walk.
Wow.
So he had to humiliate her in spite of the fact that she's pregnant and riding on a sidewalk, I think because he felt obliged because of the citizen here who felt maybe had an experience which didn't have anything to do with her.
Yes.
But sometimes the innocent are punished because of, you know, cats we let out of the house that got hit by cars, so no cats will ever go out of the house again, or somebody who's brushed by a skateboard, therefore no skateboarders will ever ride on the sidewalk again.
See, if the language is more specific, as in one could be fined for riding dangerously with a bicycle on the sidewalk when there is someone who's actually been injured. If there's an injured party, then, well, that makes sense. But if one can be fined for riding on an empty sidewalk, that is ridiculous.
Well, this is, I guess that's the thing. Nuances are problematic. They're messy. It's like relationships. It's like contingency in general. It's like putting the money down and putting the walls down and dealing with another person. I think exactly like you say, if it were more specific and more nuanced, then we'd have to use common sense. We'd have to use discretion, which is, you know, again, problematic. Then I'd have to think about it. Then I'd have to kind of, you know, say you're different from someone else who is smoking or has diabetes or whatever kind of thing, because not all people who are of that color are the same.
Yes.
And I think it's a good lesson, an object lesson in that, because that applies to everything. You know what I mean? I think we've kind of dropped the ball with that, because I think it's exactly as you say. If people were actually involved in dangerous behavior, even disrespectful behavior, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if that involves a fine, but some obligatory apology, some making eye contact, bowing the head, whatever sort of thing. I think that if we don't do this, then yeah, we should be called out.
It comes down to respect and paying respect to each other.
Yeah.
And if people actually remember their humanity and that we're all brothers and sisters connected in some way and respect each other, there'd be no problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. It gets nasty, because if you start knowing my future, I start knowing your future, and it becomes a competition. Yeah, well, I saw what you ate yesterday. Yeah, well, you know, whatever. No matter what possible utilitarian good, which is very small, that can come out of that, that's going to erode a society, a civil society. It's going to be corrosive.
Yes.
I think those effects, the effects that these laws and the kind of conversations and the altercations have been more stressful for me and the people involved in them and for our community
Yes.
than any possible minuscule benefits
Yes.
that could come out of this. And to me, that just seems so glaringly, overwhelmingly true that I guess I sound sometimes, as I say, maybe a little bit aggressive talking about it when I don't mean to be.
The benefits definitely do not outweigh the cost in human quality, the cost that it has on the everyday person. These bylaws are so obscure and arbitrarily enforced, unfortunately. When it comes down to, if they could be more clear with the language, as in, again, it comes down to dangerous conduct, well then that has nothing to do with a bylaw, really. It's just people acting dangerously.
Yes.
That's quite different than just everyone riding on the sidewalk.
Yes, and it's very difficult to do that. I mean, I don't say, I'm not going to say everybody who wears a helmet. Oftentimes, though, these things that say, okay, all I have to do is this. Then there are other things that aren't against the law, like you say, that people do. So the obvious thing, someone going down the street with a headset on, texting, with a helmet, fine. Someone else going down being conscious, of his or her environment without texting, without a helmet on, without you know, earphones in or something like that, is somehow for some reason bizarrely seen as more dangerous, when the obvious opposite is true. I guess that's the thing. It really, outside of the business of you know, helmet laws, it really kind of closes our eyes and makes us narrow-minded. I mean, that's problematic in and of itself. I mean, we don't see what's actually going on. We don't see a father and a son. We don't see somebody saying, I'm sorry. We don't see people moving and giving respect. We just see something that's objectionable because it happens to fulfill these abstract criteria, you know, as opposed to someone who's obviously being disrespectful and dangerous, you know, which doesn't necessarily have to do with a particular behavior. It's your being in the world.
Yes.
It's your ethos, I suppose. That's what it comes down to.
All right, thank you for that. We'll leave it right there.
Sure, man. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Thanks a lot.